The last of our discussions in covering the 1960s involves Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from a Birmingham jail. I want to begin what I have to say about that letter by turning your attention to the beginning of the letter itself on page 1309. Who does Martin Luther King Jr. address in this letter? It's very, very important who he addresses. He addresses his fellow clergymen. Why does he address his fellow clergymen? Well, because something that he tells us right at the beginning. While confined here in the Birmingham City Jail, I came across your recent statement, that being the statement of clergymen, calling our present activities, quote, unwise and untimely. Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from a Birmingham jail then begins by saying that he has been instructed by other religious leaders to stop what he's doing, right? Stop the nonviolent demonstrations. Stop the nonviolent protests. Why is he being told to stop? Key piece to this understanding this essay. He's being told to stop for the following reason. Other clergymen believe that it's more important to keep the peace of American society, to keep things as they are, to not rock the boat, than to make the needed changes in order to overcome what's wrong with American society. Which is why later on this same page, King says, I'm not going to follow that advice. I am in Birmingham because injustice is here. I am in Birmingham because injustice is here. What is King telling us in that statement? Yes, it's a good thing to want to keep the peace. Yes, it's a good thing to want law and order. Yes, it's a good thing to want balance and stability for society. But balance, stability, law, and order at what cost? At the cost of injustice? At the cost of not having people being granted their dignity? At the cost of inequality between this group and that group? Covered by the visage that somehow we're all created equal? And here's where King says, no, I'm not going to have any of that, and I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to move forward in a way of civil disobedience, which he defines on the next page in the following 4 steps. What do you need to do when you find something that's wrong? Number 1, collect the facts to determine whether injustices are alive. Number 2, try to negotiate. Number 3, recognize what's wrong in your own heart. And then number 4, direct action. This is how, throughout mankind's history, we've moved from positions of injustice to justice. And this is what we need to do in the United States in the 1960s. We need to recognize the injustices for what they are, and we need to do what? We need to build a society that's based upon justice. Now, I want to follow up that statement by comparing then what Martin Luther King Jr. is suggesting to what is offered by Ellison, who says that I am invisible, I need to assert myself in order to be recognized, in order to be made visible. Malcolm X says, I will never be visible within a white society, neither will you. We need to create our own society in order to be visible. But what King has said is something different. Certainly there's a great amount of darkness in the American cave. Certainly there's a great amount of blindness in the American cave, and that has led to segregation, and that has led to injustice, and that has led to all of those things, even with abolition, that left Black Americans, right, without a level playing field with others. But what we need to do in this country is we as a country, building upon our definition of what justice is, building upon the Declaration of Independence, building upon our understanding that God has created all men equal, building upon all of those principles, we then need to revitalize our society. We need to make our cave better. And only by looking to the transcendent truths that were incorporated in those documents and are incorporated in the Bible, can we then, right, speak truth to power, and in doing so, overcome injustice. So 3 very different ways of dealing with injustice in the 1960s. 1, assertion and recognition. 2, a segregation of oneself. And 3, pointing to the transcendent to improve the circumstances of where things are. Not simply saying peace at the cost of injustice, right? But paying great deference to the need for a more just society.